Good morning, Midwest Mania outdoor guests. This podcast, this beautiful morning, my guest today is Brian from Beast Mode Archery. Brian, would you like to introduce yourself?
You bet. Good morning, everybody. I'm Brian Austin from the Beast Mode Archery Challenge. We put on archery events here in the Midwest now. We're strictly in Wisconsin, but we're branching out to a different state, to Iowa this next year. Like I said, based out of Wisconsin, and I'm happy to be here and talk to you all.
All right. So let's get a little back history on this. When did all this come about and why?
Question. The Beast Mode events technically started in 2019, but the idea, started just like any business, any thing that you start up. It always starts as an idea way before that. So it technically started in 2019. We started doing events in the winter of 2020, which, if you remember, was kind of the pandemic. So we kind of had not only a new business, new events, but then also dealing with the pandemic and things being shut down and all that stuff. So that's a whole different story there. But it kind of started out of my passion for, our tagline is born out of the passion for archery, fitness, and bow hunting.
Yeah.
And that's truly where it came from. Is a lot of these, we have different style events for just about any bow hunter, any serious archer can participate in. So it really came out of the need for, nobody around here was meshing those together. And I was traveling all over the country doing, larger events like the Total Archery Challenge and Train to Hunts and stuff like that. And wanted to have events here in Wisconsin. Wisconsin we have, next to Pennsylvania, probably, we have the most bow hunters, the most archers in any other state. And I just saw that there was a need and people wanted to do these events, but there wasn't an opportunity around to do that. So that's kind of, the 30,000 foot view of why and when it started.
Yeah. What was the first, where did you hold your first event at?
Yeah, so our first, what was actually called the Beast Mode Archery Challenge, was an indoor event. And I'm trying to think, that year, so it would have been January of 2020. I believe we did it at Whale Tails Archery.
Okay.
Over in Dowsman, over by Milwaukee.
Okay.
And then our next event was going to be at Vortex Optics headquarters, an indoor event. But that's when everything was just kind of coming to a standstill, and we got, the world was being shut down right the week before, maybe 2 weeks before that event.
Yeah.
So then the rest of our indoor events obviously were canceled, and then we had to pivot and come up with some new events for the summer and be strategic, because that summer, again, as we don't want to remember, right, what we're all going through and the distance crap and all that stuff that our government was imposing on us. We just had to be really creative on how to do events that summer. So our very first event, that was the Beast Mode Archery Challenge, was, I'm pretty sure it was in Milwaukee. So
yeah. All right. Now you have all the events coming up are at ski resorts, right? Higher elevation, tougher terrain.
Yeah. I wouldn't say not necessarily higher elevation, because we're still in Wisconsin, but the topography,
yeah,
the ups and downs and the steepness is there. But this year, they're all at ski hills here in the Midwest. Yep. So
and all the shot, and they're all 3D targets.
Yep.
And I'm guessing since it's in Wisconsin, you're probably using like Reinhardt targets.
Actually, yeah, we have a combination of targets. So a lot of them we have transitioned over to Reinhardt. We have some Kersh Outdoors light told targets.
Who's that?
And we also have so that's a company. So Kersh Outdoors is actually based in Wisconsin as well.
Okay.
And the brand of targets is light told, which is actually really popular amongst a lot of the trad clubs up here.
Huh.
They're from where are they from? They're from over by Germany. I don't know if it's Austria. I can't remember what country they're from, but whatever country it is, they're really big in traditional shooting.
Are they? Yeah. Are they cheaper than Reinhardt's? Because I know they get any 3D targets costly, even the cheap ones. So
yeah, no, they're not. They used to be, but now I don't know if it's in the last few years. I think their shipping costs have gone up, so their costs have actually increased a lot. And the big reason why I switched from those and transitioned over to Reinhardt's is the replaceable cores.
Yeah.
And just, obviously we have a lot of people shooting our targets, and the repair and maintenance is just on our end. It's quicker and easier to replace a core than it is to drill out the foam and do all of that stuff.
Okay.
So we got the Reinhardt's, some Kersh Outdoors yet, and then we also
Delta
probably some Delta McKenzie's as well. So
I buy some stuff off like Facebook Marketplace, and this guy over west of me had a Delta McKenzie, like one of those pro big black hog targets, and it was an older one. Well, I called Delta McKenzie, and like they replace, like instead of replaceable cores, they're like the sections. Mm-hmm. Well, I could buy the scoring. I'm not a big scorer. I shoot 3D archery. I have an archery club and in the like Midwest Archery Championship, but I'm not like I'm more of a hunter. I just do that to keep practice when it comes down to hunting season. And my daughter does it too, and she's actually pretty good at it.
Awesome.
But this target was like made like in 1990s, and it was pretty durable. I mean, it was all, the scoring system was all like shot up a little bit. I thought about redoing it, but then I can go and get the section from Delta McKenzie on that one for like $190 or $200, and that's what I just did and just ordered it. And now I have a pig target to shoot at. Well, there's no wild pigs here in Illinois, but it beats shooting at bag targets.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you something a little bit more realistic to shoot at. We probably all shoot at the dots or your typical bag or block targets, and those are great for, I think, sighting in and honing your skills. But especially if you're a hunter, any type of 3D target is going to be beneficial, because you're not aiming at a dot anymore, and you got the features of the legs, the chest, the back, and stuff like that to kind of reference on where to aim. So I think it is very beneficial for hunters to be practicing on 3D targets, especially as it gets closer to your hunting season.
And here's my problem with 3D targets. I do it all the time. It's you're like, the scoring rings are away from like the pocket shot in a deer, like dropping it behind but somehow it's just muscle memory, and if I'm not paying attention, I just go and do it. I'll drop the arrow right behind the shoulder every freaking time.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. If you're, I was in the MAC championship this year. I did it like 4 times in a row, and obviously that's like either 8 or 5 points.
Yeah,
and I wasn't too happy with it. But let's go. I'll get you on the next question.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the events coming up. Then I'll ask you about what bow you shoot, and arrow weights, and distances you shoot at. Yeah.
Well, we can talk about that, but it's probably a lot different than what most of your listeners. Since you're kind of more of a trad.
Actually, I have like, do you know who the Ranch Fairy is? I've had him on my podcast twice. He's a good friend of mine. Yeah. I've had Tom Edelman from Dirt Nap Gear. I'm on like their team or pro staff, because I shoot their broadheads every once in a while.
Yeah,
and he's a pretty cool guy. And I've had. It's just not all about traditional archery. It's just outdoors and.
Right. Well, I think rather if you're a trad shooter or a compound shooter, I mean, listen, I get, if you go on our Facebook page and see some of the, our more popular videos in the comments, I leave all the comments on there, even though there's a lot of morons that are on there.
Dumb shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care really what you shoot, as long as you're having fun and enjoying it. And some of the, I do believe some of the hate that goes on between bow hunters are our own worst enemy, I believe. And we gotta, I get razzing each other and stuff like that sometimes, but a lot of times, who cares what you shoot as long as you're having a good time and doing it safely, and ethically, in terms of bow hunting and that's my soapbox.
Like I know a guy that shoots. He's from. I used to use social media for a big archery pro shop down in Texas. I worked for him for like 4 years, and I got to know like he has this one of the companies work for the owners. One of his good friends had this 3D series called the Deerman, and he has his own scoring rings. He'll put like the heart lungs on there where it's supposed to be, and all these animals. And I like the dude. He's the guy that does that. A great guy, but his like total arrow weight is like 310 grains.
Yeah.
And I'm going, dude, that bow's gonna like blow up on you.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gone from. I've run the gamut of arrow weights. I was early on. I was a really big 3D shooter and wanted a fast bow just to eliminate the trajectory and
wind drift and stuff like that.
Stuff. Yeah. And then I went to a super heavy arrow, like a 600 and some grain arrow, and my compound bow is more like a trad bow at that time, in terms of speed. And I missed a great buck because I'm pretty good at judging distance, and I misjudged the distance of this buck because he just didn't have time to range him, right?
Yeah.
And I misjudged him by 2 yards. It was like 35 yards, and I think I shot him for like 32. And at that distance, because my arrows were so heavy, it went underneath him, and I'm like, all right, if I didn't have that heavy of an arrow, he would have been dead, right? But so that's then I went back to a more, kind of an in between arrow. I'm definitely above your recommended 5 grains per pound, draw weight, but I'm somewhere in between. I'm not like a super heavy, and I'm not looking for a super fast. I like my bow shooting around 280 to 290 feet per second.
That's what my I hunt with a compound. I'll make a long story short. When I was working at doing social media for my buddy Charles at the archery shop down in Texas, my dad wanted to get back into bow hunting, and he had cancer. So I got him a deal on have you heard of the company Expedition?
Yep.
I got him a deal. They had a box bow or a ready to shoot package or something like that. It was Expedition parts, but it's manufactured overseas. It keeps the cost down. And he passed away. I got his bow, and I've been hunting with that. Well, it needed a new cam on it or something like that. It was still in the warranty. So I found an Expedition dealer here around me. I took it to them. They upgraded my cams and put new cables on it and all that crap. And for being a cheap little bow, it has 90% let off. And it shoots a 652 grain arrow at 275 feet per second.
Wow.
Yeah. And but it's heavier. The bow, it's not like one of those light bows. It weighs almost 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's not heavy. But I have a long bow that's sitting behind me that barely weighs anything. I can carry the damn thing all day.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. And
pros and cons to each setup, right?
And like how I got into traditional bow hunting. I don't know. Are you looking to go trad or have it crossed your mind?
I've shot them. I enjoy them, but I don't have that much time in my schedule to really commit to it. And to be honest with you, I enjoy shooting my compound. So I could see at some point maybe switching or dipping my feet into that a little bit more.
How I ended up going trad was me and my wife just got married, and I had a brand new I'm not gonna name drop or anything like that. I had a brand new higher end bow, and I dropped it on my tree cams and broke the cams.
Ooh.
And it wasn't covered. So my wife bought me a Martin Jaguar takedown recurve, and that was at the time was like a decent setup. It wasn't costly. It was like a budget friendly introduction bow. And man, I dropped stuff and with my cerebral palsy, and I slipped a few times out hunting, and I just banged it. And I have my longbow behind me is I got that. I call my buddy Jeremy. He's call him the horse trader of bows. Because any given day he could pick up a allotment of bows, and he might just want one bow, but he'll sell all the rest of them and come out ahead. Don't ask me how he does it, but I got a nice custom takedown from him, and I beat the hell out of that bow, and it still works. It works real good. But
there's something to be said about simpler is better, right?
Yeah, I call it like my tow rope. I bring stuff up and out of my tree stand with. Well, it got caught and it was paracord. I yanked it and it broke. So I took my backpack off and threw that down, dropped out of the tree stand. I look at my longbow. I said, "Thank God you're a longbow, not a compound, because this would kill me." I just dropped it. I made sure it landed flat because I didn't want to hit any of the limbs or anything like that. But I picked it up and dusted it off and went back to work. But
nice.
Let's see. I don't want to get sidetracked that much. That don't apply to you. Okay. What bow manufacturers do you shoot right now?
I shoot a Hoyt. I've been a Hoyt guy most of my adult life, except for I did shoot a Matthews for a year, and then nothing against them, but just realized why I shoot a Hoyt. so I just really like Hoyts. I think for me, probably the number one reason why I shoot a Hoyt is because the pro shop that I go to, that's what they're a Hoyt dealer, and it just turns out I think that they're a great bow. I shoot it well; it feels good, but that's everybody's like, "Oh, you're just a Hoyt fanboy." It's not that. I mean, I guess you can say I'm kind of that because I do like Hoyts, but
they make a good product.
Yeah, the pro shop, that's what they carry, and that's who I go to for my business and stuff. So, I mean, it's a win-win because my Just Performance Archery out of Dodgeville, that's what they carry, and then but then also it's a great bow, and I think all the bow manufacturers now make really good bows, right?
Yeah.
It just comes down to what you can shoot, what feels good for you, but then also where you can get it work done. If I'm not a tinkerer, I don't like to tinker and fiddle with stuff.
Yeah.
So
you just want to go pull it back and fling arrows. You don't want
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
So you're near Dodgeville. You're not. That's not too far away from me at all.
I live straight north of you, maybe an hour. I'm south of Madison,
so I spend a lot. My wife goes to UW a lot for health reasons, so I'm always up there. Her sister had surgery back right after Christmas, and they call it I don't know if you ice fish or anything like that. The triangle on Monona, it's Monona Bay right there in Madison. Yep. It looks like a small city out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy. Some of those guys are out there. I don't know if I trust the ice sometimes, but
I don't get out. I asked my wife. I said, "I'm just going to be here for 5 hours, doing nothing. 3 of those hours, you'll be back with your sister in recovery." I could have, and they actually have taxis, like people that'll pick you up and take you out to the ice fish and bring you back. I said I could call the Ice Express to pick me up. I paid my $5. I could go ice fish out there. She goes, "No." I go, "Okay." I pick my battles.
Right. A happy wife is a happy life.
Yes. But sometimes I make plans during bow season, which is not cool. I let her she lets me go hunt all the time, and I let her go to Disney World every like other year, and it seems like she always plans it like in November, and I complain a little bit, but yeah. Let's see where else we're at. We are I'm just looking at the time where we're at. Okay, we're doing good. I don't know like what your I know your schedule is.
No, I'm good. We could probably maybe talk about the actual events.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go right now. Let's get event calendar going. I know you have a winter shoot coming up.
Yep. So coming up on let's see, February. What is it? February 21st. Yes, February 21st is the Quivers River at Tyro Basin Ski Resort in Mount Horeb. For those of you that don't know, it's just maybe a half an hour west of Madison.
That going.
Oh, do you have technical difficulties?
No, my little brother called. I don't know why he's calling me. He lives in South Carolina. He's a retired military, and his wife's still in the military down there.
Oh, well, he's an hour ahead of us. That's
yeah. He drives me nuts. Sorry about that. Okay, let's start off. Let's go back and start with the Yep.
Okay. So our first event is going to be the Quivers River on February 21st at Tyro Basin Ski Resort, which is just outside of Madison. It's about a half an hour west of Madison, Wisconsin, near Mount Horeb. This year is going to be, it's either our fourth or fifth year doing this event.
Okay.
And I, along with a lot of the competitors, think it's one of probably our funnest event in the sense that it's not in, the heat in the middle of the summer. We don't have bugs to deal with and mosquitoes. And it's just a fun, kind of laid back event. It's a great event for those. And this event is one of those that brings truly my passion for fitness, because I've been in the fitness industry for 20 plus years.
Okay.
And archery world together, because it's kind of a hunter athlete type of competition. So you get to, basically the gist of it is there's a 2-mile ruck or hike.
Okay.
Some people run it. You have a lightweight pack. I think a 25-pound pack for men, 20 for women.
I wrote down all your rules.
So, there you go. So you know it better than I do, probably.
And no hip quivers, right?
No hip quivers, yeah. For safety reasons, it's just, when people are trekking pretty quick with hip quivers, the arrows tend to
fall out,
to get spilled, and and it's just a safety thing. So
that's what I figured. I was going to ask you. I figured safety. Even like at these big 3D shoots, like the MAC championship I go to, and they had this year at, it's not like a ski resort, but it was like up and down topography and limestone bluffs and shit like that. There was people slipping and falling, and we had somebody snap an arrow and get stuck in his leg, and it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's people don't realize that. I think we did have somebody get injured last year at one of our 3D events, and that same thing. He slipped, and he had a hip quiver, and the arrow came out of the hip quiver and cut his arm. So that's, I personally, and everybody has their personal things, right? Yeah. I always shoot with my arrows in my quiver on my bow.
Yeah.
Again, that's just, and I haven't had an issue with that. Nobody that has competed has had an issue with that. But again, you got to be careful. It's just like a hip quiver. It could pop out at some time. And I heard a story, actually, side note here, of a young guy, that was hunting public land here in Wisconsin, and his arrow I think it was at night, or in the dark or whatever, his arrow came out, and he punctured his leg pretty bad, had to put a tourniquet on it, and
made it out,
made it out, but he could have
bled out pretty good.
Yeah. So, I mean, things like that, just as a safety precaution, especially with broadheads, when you're hunting, you got to keep an eye on those arrows in your quiver. So,
and as a trad guy, I like having that bow mounted quiver because I use it sort of like a stabilizer. Mm-hmm. And some of the trad classes, you can't have a stabilizer on. So, and I get used to like you. That's how I hunt, so I don't like taking it off. Like my buddy tried to get me to go to a like indoor like 3-spot shoot like a Vegas style shoot, and I couldn't run a bow quiver, and I hate having a side quiver on, and yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I still like participating in indoor. It's just 3D events I participate in, but even those, I'll be in the minority with having my arrows in my quiver and not wearing a hip quiver, which is fine. I don't care. It's how I hunt. My setup, I shoot my setup the same way all year long. I don't have a 3D setup. I don't have an indoor setup. It's my hunting setup that I'm going to shoot all year round. So
the only thing different I do is I can't in my class I have to use wood arrows, and I hate it.
Yeah, that's a true trad class right there.
Yeah, and I don't. And wood arrows are not forgiving, and they're not any cheaper than I mean, they're maybe a little bit cheaper. By the time you get them fletched and get your points on them, they're probably maybe $3, $30 cheaper than a carbon. I'm doing a podcast, Evie. Nice. Brian from Beast Mode.
Hi, Brian from Beast Mode.
Hi.
That's my youngest daughter, Evie. She's gonna be 13 here, and she can outshoot me and have a bunch of grown men. And she hangs with us, and she shoots a trad bow, and she pulls back 30 pounds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Is there a? Oh, I got this. Your events, is there like a kids class, or is it just men and women? Do they all shoot from the same stake, or?
Yeah. So our challenge events, which is the Quivers River and then the endurance challenge, I would be happy to have kids. Like if there's younger folks that wanted to do it, we can definitely do a kids. Like I'm not opposed to that at all. It's just we haven't really had a request or people do. We do have young people that actually compete in those that are as young as 12 and 13, but they actually compete against the adults, and they do really well.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in much better shape, especially the ones like our challenge events where you have to be physically active and doing things. You know, their strength to weight ratio is so much more better than adults that they can do some things much quicker and more, just much faster than adults. Our bigger events are 3D events. You know, the Beast Mode Archery Tour this year. Those events are for anybody. You know, back we were talking about the scoring rings and stuff like that. We don't collect scorecards. We hand out scorecards because that's kind of bragging rights for you and your shooting group, right?
Yeah.
But we don't collect scorecards. It's purely for fun and for you to get the experience of shooting on steep terrain, different angles, longer shots. You know, some of our shots are over 100 yards. But then even at those events, you know, we have a shooting cone, which is the furthest shooting position. And then we always have a flag somewhere in between that's closer. If people want to shoot closer and have an actual spot, we have a flag. But then with that said, you can shoot from whatever distance you want between the cone and the target, because we have trad shooters that come. And actually, I know a handful of them that shoot from the far shots because they're like, we never get to try our trad equipment at long shots. And it's for fun, right?
Yeah.
Who cares? So they do that, but then maybe they'll move up and shoot from, you know, what they think is their ethical killing, 20 yards, 30 yards, whatever it might be, right?
All right.
So you have that opportunity. Now, with that said, sometimes because of the terrain, you may not have a super close shot because, you know, maybe it's really steep or, you know, there's a tree or a thicket in the way or something. So, but most of the shots you can move up. Like it's not, I think that's something, you know, just to get out there is don't be afraid if you're a traditional shooter or you don't like to shoot long shots. You can shoot from whatever distance and still get the experience of being on a ski hill and having topography, like especially if you're a Western hunter, it's a great way to come and experience some of the shot angles and stuff that you might encounter when hunting a mountain, or even an Eastern hunter if you're hunting going on a whitetail hunt. Yeah, exactly. So,
are you a PBS member by any chance? A Professional Bow Hunter Society member.
Where does he live?
No, I'm not.
Straight up north from us. They had a.
So he doesn't live in Illinois?
No, he was in Wisconsin.
I can make far shots, not close shots.
Yep.
So those stupid skunks and alligators, I hate them.
Right, those are tough targets, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
If
they're
anything's
thin.
closer than
15 yards.
Yeah, I can't shoot it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to work on your short game, huh?
Yeah. But they had back to the PBS thing. They had an odd year gathering this year at outside Monroe, Wisconsin, at this. I can't think of his name. I think it's Kevin Winkler, but at his place, and he had like shots like out west. He has it's sort of a bluffy country right where his property is, and we were shooting at like 30, 40 yards. But there's all hunt scenarios. But yeah, let's do some. So you have 5 events a year, 4 events? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, we have 5 events. We have 2 challenge events, which is our hunter athlete events. The Quivers River in February, the Endurance Challenge on April 18th. Both of those are at Tyrol.
Okay.
And then our first archery or 3D event, the 3D archery tour, which is the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation is our presenting sponsor, which is awesome. We're going to do a lot of stuff with RMEF and for RMEF this year. We have our first event is at Bruce Mountain Winter Sports Area, which is up. It's in the southern part of Clark County, Wisconsin. So if you're thinking like Eau Claire area, okay. It's southeast of Eau Claire. It's kind of halfway between Madison and Minneapolis, right on the edge of the driftless region.
Okay.
So it's still. I tell you what, that venue is so. It's so cool. You get on that hill and you really do feel like you're out west. You got a lot of sandstone bluffs, a lot of pine trees, and then there's like an oak hardwoods portion of the property that we're in. So it's a very diverse piece of property, and it really leads to a really cool 3D shoot where you feel like you're in different parts of the country on different ranges. Yeah. So.
Then, and you said something about Iowa too, right?
Yep. So we got Bruce Mountain, and we have the one obviously here at Tyrol Basin, which is our longest standing event.
Okay.
Very popular event on July 17th, 19th. And then our first event outside of the state of Wisconsin is our event at Seven Oaks Recreation out in Boone, Iowa. And everybody's like, Iowa, they don't have any hills. They actually do,
they do.
Especially the northeast, but this is actually out by, it's kind of north central, central to a little bit north part of the state. It's in the Des Moines River Valley.
Okay.
So it's a very, for those that have been to Tyrol Basin, it's a very comparable in terms of acreage, elevation gain and loss, and stuff like that. It's very comparable to Tyrol Basin. So
now, are you looking to expand your shoot series to go to different ski resorts? I don't know how many ski areas there are in Wisconsin. I know Tyrol Basin.
Yeah. Wisconsin has, I don't know the exact number, but Wisconsin actually has a lot of ski resorts. I want to say they're maybe in the top 5 states for the most ski resorts.
Isn't it Chestnut Mountain too, or something like that?
Yeah, there's Chestnut, there's Granite Peak. I mean, there's Trollhagen. There's so many. They're not huge like you typically find out west, but there's a lot of little ones, a lot of independent ski hills in Wisconsin.
And
so
that would be a good thing because they're only making money a fraction of the year.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. Man, you got something good here. Something else I was gonna say. Dang it. Okay. Any other? Did we cover? You want to go over some of the? We sort of covered some of the rules, right? You had to.
Yep. I mean, again, the 3D events, if you're a trad shooter, don't be afraid to come and try them out. Again, you can fling arrows from a long shot to get the experience of doing that in a safe, in a safe environment. As long as that's the funny thing, because one of the trad guys, he's like, I have no idea how to shoot 100 yards. I'm like, well, try it out on the practice range so you don't, accidentally fling that arrow, 200 yards. So get an idea so that you're somewhat closer or not. We definitely don't. We need. My number one goal at all my events, I always say, my number one goal is for you to have fun and create memories. But in order to do that, we got to keep everybody safe, right? Yep. So for me, safety is number one. But I want people to have a great experience and to enjoy themselves, create memories with their friends and family that they're there with. Or a lot of people too, I get this asked quite often. It's like, I don't have anybody that wants to come shoot with me. Is it okay if I come by myself? Absolutely. Yeah. Like you can come and shoot by yourself, or there's always groups that are willing to bring somebody in and shoot with their group, or whatever that might be. Don't feel intimidated to come by yourself. So it's a very friendly environment. If you want to shoot with somebody, we'll find you somebody to shoot with. Now, with that said, though all of our events are pre. I'm not going to say are only pre-registration, but you really should register ahead of time, because we have shoot times. What I call unleash times that you have to sign up for. So if you show up day of and want to get out on a course, you might have to wait a while until there's an opening. So we do that so that there's not a big backup on the courses, right? Yeah. Because we've probably all been to shoots where you're waiting a long time between each target, or there's big backups. I try to eliminate that as much as possible, because again, it's about having fun and creating a good experience. And I personally hate it when I have to wait 20 minutes for a target and there's a big backup, or there's a group taking forever. So it's designed so that there's unleashed times with only so many people that are shooting at one time, and it's gapped out. So it's something that you should sign up earlier. If you sign up by, I forget the dates for all of them, but there's a cutoff date that everybody gets an event T-shirt with the registration fee. You're entered to win a lot of door prizes. Vortex Optics is one of our presenting sponsors. We have a lot of optics to give away this year at our events. So we have other sponsors that are coming on board as well. So there's definitely sign up sooner than later when it comes to some of these events. And we're always doing early giveaways. We do door prizes at the events. So it's number one is that these are archery events for the average, for people that take bow hunting, that have a passion for bow hunting and have a passion for shooting 3D archery with their friends and stuff. And it's not something that we take. It's not events that people should take overly serious. They're more for fun, but they're a great time.
Speaking of people grouping up and taking their time. At my archery club, I helped with an ASA event. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yep, I am.
And there was I don't know why there was 7 people in this group, and it was I had nothing against compound shooters at all. This guy took his binoculars and he ranged it. Took his binoculars again, then ranged it. And I go, I was like a field judge or a line judge or whatever you want to call it. And I said, dude, it's a static target. It did not move. And they went and complained about me. And now I'm not allowed to do ASA events at my club no more.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. That's again. Back to one of our first comments is we can razz one another in a good way, right? And that's what you're doing. But then that's exactly right. If you're an archer that takes themselves super serious and these events are not for that. I mean, there's events for that, like ASA, like like your actual competitive 3D shoot.
Yeah.
But this is for those that want to come out
And just have fun.
and have a good time and have fun. Yeah. And if you have a group that wants to be competitive against each other, I know there's many groups that are. Have at it. You know, you got the opportunity to do that. So
If when we go to this thing, Kylie's not coming with my oldest daughter, who I have every other weekend. She likes shooting archery, but I don't think she aims. And she'll like look away and fling arrows. And do you know what vector shafts are? They're made by Easton, like the real skinny ones.
Yep.
She busted up all my.
She went through a dozen and a half vectors in one shoot.
And she busted up all my arrows that I got from Rose City.
Yeah, and
that was supposed to last me a season.
My daughter was sponsored by Rose City, like they make wood shafts.
Yeah.
And my other daughter, like she got, and they comped her a dozen and a half, or maybe 2 dozen arrows.
So a lot of the time,
my other daughter lost them all in one shoot.
Wow.
And he had just put nicer points on them.
Yeah. So she's still mad about that.
Yeah, that can get expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one.
You can't see it. We're not on video. She found one. I'm downstairs in my basement, and it's
I found your clicker. It's back there.
Okay. I can shoot 15 yards in my basement, and I have a podcast studio set up, and right now it's a mess down here. But what's the average price for your event? Is there like a package deal for like 2 shooters, or is it just individuals, or?
Yeah, everything's individual.
Okay. And you don't have to be like exact or anything like that, because like ballpark, it's probably for an event like this, it's probably like $100. If you sign up sooner than later.
Yeah, I think on Saturdays for our archery events, the archery tour events, Saturdays are more expensive days just because there's more people.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I should say it the other way. Friday and Sunday are less. Just try to encourage more people to shoot Friday and Sunday.
Okay.
So I think it's anywhere from $50 to $75, depending on what day you sign up for. Yeah, and so when you sign up for those events, you have a limited access to our practice range. Our practice range is not your typical practice range. I mean, we have targets out to 100 yards. We have typically at least 10 to 20 3D targets on our practice range, along with some blocks, so you can practice on 3D targets.
Okay.
So a lot of people will sit there and just fling a lot of arrows at our practice range just because it's it's there and you can do it. And then so when somebody signs up for the 3D events, when you sign up, when you register, you're going to have your starting course, which we have the Western Range, Savannah Range, and Front Range. Those are the 3 ranges that you can choose from. And then you have your unleash time. So you have to sign up you have to pick your starting course and your unleash time. And then after you shoot that, let's say if you're shooting like early on, like one of the first times in the morning, like at 8 a.m. or something, you might have to wait a little bit before you can go out on your second course, because we have to wait until all of those unleash times have passed, which is typically, on Saturday, I think it's 10:40, in the morning.
All right.
So then at 11 o'clock, you can go out on your second course, and then you can shoot as many courses as you want in a day as time allows.
Okay.
You can shoot the same course multiple times if you really like one course and you want to shoot that. So it's not just one course that you can shoot a day. You can shoot all the courses as long as you have time, before we have to close down in the evening.
So like there's not you could be there from like open to close, and that's okay.
Yep, okay. Exactly. Yep. And a lot of people do that. And that's you have on Fridays, you have typically plenty of time to get at least 2 courses in on Friday.
Okay.
But if you sign up for a first time, which I think is noon on Friday, you could probably potentially get all 3 in. If you don't, again, it all varies, right? It all varies on how big your group is. Are you spending a lot of time looking for your lost arrow? That type of stuff. But it's set up that if you sign up for one of the first available time slots, you should be able to get all 3 courses in. Now, the one caveat to that is our event at Bruce Mountain, because that venue is a lot bigger. It's twice the acreage as our other venues, so we can kind of push out our courses to be a little bit longer in distance.
And that won't, and pushing them out helps with crowd control too.
Don't doubt
Exactly.
we spend a lot of time looking for these lost arrows.
I love you too, Evelyn.
You need to get him a T-shirt that says Master Arrow Finder.
Oh, I got on a T-shirt. I got my mom's friend has like one of those cricket machines, and she made me a T-shirt that has my archery club's logo on the front of it. Then on the back it has Bigfoot holding a longbow, and across it says, "Not all who wander are lost. Some are searching for arrows."
I love it. That's awesome.
But
that's awesome. Yep, that's good.
Then do you have like if somebody wanted to shoot all weekend, do you offer a package for like all weekend deals?
So if you sign up for 2 or more days, you get a discount.
Okay.
So there's not like a specific package, but if the system, the registration system is set up that if you sign up for 2 or more days, there's a discount that you get off. And I don't remember exactly I think it's $10 you get off. If you sign up for 2 or more days. And then we have camping available at Tyrrell Basin and Bruce Mound. I mean, it's basically in the parking lot, so it's not a great setting if you have a tent, but if you have a camper,
it works.
But there are people that bring tents. But again, those spaces are limited. So if you do want to do that, and during registration, you can sign up for that and reserve a spot for that.
Now, I found my question sheet for the next event. Like I was going to do an event with this, like for the TAC people. Then I never got it back to them, or they never got back to me, I should say. And is there food available?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so Tyrrell Basin, which most of our events are fitness or challenge events, and our 3D events at Tyrrell, and yes, they have awesome food. They smoke briskets and pulled pork. I mean, they have a very good kitchen. I mean, they're top notch. Bruce Mountain has a great caterer that uses their kitchen there. So yes, there's definitely food available. And then Seven Oaks out in Iowa, they have food available. We have not done an event there, so I can't speak to what that's like.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I've shot a lot of like bigger 3D events, especially in Wisconsin. Like halfway through the course, or maybe there's a cooler full of water, and it's like you can put a like donation for like $1, or do you guys have that too, or do you?
Yeah,
okay.
We do, and typically it's the ski hill that provides that. And there's water stations, or water stations where they're needed. But then we also say though, these are longer courses, more, a little bit, and especially the terrain is much rougher than your typical club shoot. So we do recommend people to bring their own water, snacks, anything that you might need out on the course, because just in case if you get to a water station that's out of water or whatever the case might be. So, and again, a lot of these people that shoot these events are pretty serious bow hunters, and that's one of my things that I push is to be self-reliant, self-responsible. Be prepared and treat this as kind of as a hunt. So be prepared, expect the unexpected in terms of weather, all that kind of stuff, and just know that you're out on a ski hill, which is a little different than most, if not all, the archery clubs that I've shot events at. That you are going to be a ways from the start of the event. So come prepared. Don't just come in flip flops and just your bow. Like the majority of the people do carry a pack of some sort with snacks, extra arrows. A lot of guys bring a lot of extra arrows, which is probably good. So yeah, that's the style of event that these are at, and it's a good experience.
I would say there's no do you have restriction on like bow weights, like a maximum draw weight, or no?
No,
Okay.
no, yeah, we have not had that. We, in terms of crossbow shooters, we've had a lot of people ask if they can do that in the past, and every year I always have to consult my insurance to make sure that is, it's just it's just different, right?
I come from an insurance broker household. My mom's an insurance broker, and I know all about that.
Right.
Oh, I didn't want to touch on that topic with you because I know we talked about hunting and all that stuff, but Wisconsin, they have like crossbows, right? In Wisconsin now. How do you feel about that? I know it's a hard topic, and
you want to open up a can of worms, do you?
Not really.
So
but
I think I personally, crossbows for many years were for people that had a disability or had some kind of impairment where they couldn't shoot, or you had to be an age. I forget what it was. If it's
65.
60, yeah. And then they opened it up to the general public, which at first I thought was great because it gets people out into the woods. It gets more people hunting. It creates more awareness for bow hunting, for hunting in general, for conservation, right?
Yeah.
My biff with, and it's not really a biff. It's just as crossbows become more and more, I guess if you want to call it lethal.
Yeah.
They become so fast that, there's so many, since they became legal to the public, technology has really progressed them. And they're shooting speeds that I know a lot of manufacturers at first said, we'll always keep it, with this range or what, but now they're kind of exceeding a lot of that stuff. So it's kind of a gray area right now for me in that, I think they're great because they get people out there. They get more people into the woods and hunting. But then there's also this area of what's the limit going to be in terms of, because it's not like shooting a compound bow. It's not like shooting a thread. It's totally different. It resembles more of a
firearm
of a firearm. You don't have to draw, but there's different things. Even when you want to talk about woodsmanship and how to set up, when you're going to draw, all like it takes all that stuff out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that there's going to have to be a discussion about is crossbow season going to still be the entire length of archery season? Is it going to have its own season? Do we need to put some?
I think it should be in with rifle season or firearm season. That's my opinion, but I'll probably get a lot of hate mail on this one, but I don't care.
Yeah, I mean that's I wouldn't argue that, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue that as well. So, I don't know what the solution is. I don't know. Time will tell. But I do think seeing some of these guys that are shooting 400 feet per second and trying to shoot a deer
at 80 yards.
It's fast, but they're not faster than a deer, and how loud they are. People don't realize that sound is a lot louder. Yeah. So I mean, it's a big sticking point for some people. But number one, it's great to get more people involved in hunting and conservation, but it does come at a cost, right?
Then I don't know if Wisconsin breaks it down like Illinois. They'll tell you what weapon the deer were harvested with, and during archery season, like when this first happened, it was like 68% was harvested with compounds.
Mm-hmm.
The other part was harvested with crossbows, and you had my trad bow in there. I don't even think it was a whole percent. And now it's like flip flops. Like 80% were harvested with crossbows, and
right.
I don't know.
So I think Wisconsin does. It does show archery and compound and trad because it is when in Wisconsin, when you purchase an archery license,
Yeah.
you can either purchase a compound license or a crossbow license.
So yeah.
I don't think you can purchase both. It's one or the other. I could be wrong with that. You might be able to purchase both, but I'm pretty sure you only get to hunt with a compound or vertical bow and a crossbow. So there is that, and they do have those numbers. I haven't seen them recently, but I know that they do publish those, what the kill is. But that's getting into a whole nother
yeah.
because I think the worst thing that the Wisconsin DNR did was online registration. Growing up, it always used to be you had to register your deer in person, like at a check station or at a gas station. And that, for multiple reasons, I say we need to go back to that, because I think it keeps the honest people honest, right?
Yeah.
I think there's always that percentage of people that are going to harvest more than what they're supposed to harvest, because it's very easy to kill an animal and then, take care of that, put it in your freezer and go kill another one, right?
Yeah.
And then also what that did for your small businesses in Wisconsin, your check stations, your gas stations, it took business away from them, because now no longer are you going and checking your animal in and maybe buying some snacks and you see a big buck in the back of a truck, or I can remember as a kid I always wanted to go to the gas station to see what bucks are being checked in, right? Yeah. So it really took that social aspect of hunting out of the equation altogether.
Yeah.
And so that's even more so than the crossbow topic. I think that's, if there's one thing that we need to change back, right now, is to get rid of online registration or online check-in of your animal.
Now, do you know who Doug Duran is?
I do, yeah.
Okay, yeah. He's a big promoter of check-in stations.
Yeah.
And he does it more for CWD, and which I've heard people say CWD is bullshit. I know I got it here in Illinois. I got it here in my county. And I seen it. I found dead deer, emaciated deer from it.
Right.
So it's real thing.
CWD here where I am and where Tyrrell Basin is, that's ground zero of CWD.
And so I don't know. I suppose it's bred by like deer farms and that kind of stuff, but is there deer?
Well, if you haven't listened to, Uncle Ted Nugent was on the Joe Rogan podcast here recently, and I'm with him in terms of his opinion and theory on CWD. It's more of a government bureaucratic problem than what it is a conservation problem. He's got a lot of evidence, a lot of research that specifically for Michigan and CWD in Michigan, but now it's they're finding an elk in the western states and deer in the western states.
I think it started out west. To be honest with you, I know that Rocky Mountain elk herd had it like in the early '90s.
Yeah, I want to say Uncle Ted said something about even dating back to the '70s. And I didn't listen to the podcast. I saw like a snippet, on social, but I do want to listen to it because I'm like, that message needs to get out. And his thing is not, wherever you stand on deer farms, right? Yeah. His theory is not deer farms that's spreading it, right?
Gotcha.
So it is an interesting, I think topics like this, people need to stay open-minded and just like anything, right? We all formulate our beliefs and our opinions, and then it's like you get locked in on that, even though you have no really scientific proof or anything. You get locked into it because so and so said it or this person said that. It's like, well, yeah, but we got to keep an open mind because maybe it's not being spread by deer farms.
Yeah.
Rather, if you think deer farming is right or not. And I think a lot of times people blame it on that because they're not a big fan of deer farms.
And I don't know why it's like you can I know, like, they produce these genetic freaks and stuff like that, and I get that. I get that point where they're coming from, but it's no different than having a turkey farm. Genetically,
Right.
they're all the same.
I mean, you know, I'm, honestly, we all like big antlers, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of these that are on the farms where they're actually being engineered to have big racks, like that just doesn't really do anything for me.
No.
But there are deer farms, right, that are farms to get the meat, because otherwise, you can't sell wild game meat.
Yeah.
So when you go to the store and get a venison or even an elk jerky from a grocery store or a gas station,
It's got to come from a deer farm.
That's coming from a farm, right?
Yep.
That's not coming from wild meat. So there is a need and a purpose to have deer farms. But the ones that are, trying to engineer big racks and stuff, I guess to each their own. But yeah, I think, maybe deer farms have gotten a bad rap. And again, not to get too conspiracy theory, but maybe that's where, especially here in Wisconsin, it's the DNR blames the deer farms for a lot of stuff, but maybe they're a scapegoat in a way too.
Yeah.
So.
And if it CWD is sort of like mad cow disease for deer.
Oh, same thing, right?
Exact same thing.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Oh, that was the point that Uncle Ted had. Is there was a indigenous tribe, I forget where it was. I don't know if it was Vietnam or somewhere. And there is actually, I know it's a parasite, but it's called CWD. Is called some whatever it's called. It's some kind of parasite.
Yeah.
But there is that in humans. But it's when this tribe would eat the brains of of their enemies.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did. So that's where. So humans can get it, but we can't get it from. It doesn't jump species.
No,
right?
like you're not eating deer brains and like
right.
Like here in Illinois, I can have my animal tested for CWD, like my harvested deer. Most time I don't do it because I'm not eating anywhere near the neck. I'm not eating the brains. Yeah.
But even so, I don't think, even if you eat a deer brain with CWD, I don't know why you do this.
Yeah.
But I don't think scientifically, I think it's been shown that it doesn't go from one species to another. But but still, do we trust science? Right?
Yeah.
I don't. So I wouldn't eat it. But with that said, I don't think they've ever found that in muscle tissue, right? In meat. So it's, I guess, to each their own, and you have to make that decision if you want to. And if not, that's fine. That's your choice. But too much regulation, I guess.
Yep. We are. What time is it now? 7:42. I gotta get ready to take my daughter to school.
Nope, no problem. I appreciate your time.
I will plug your events in my podcast. And oh crap, I gotta do this before I forget. We're gonna take a brief moment here, and we'll be right back. Thank you, Midwest Mania guests, for tuning into my podcast. My podcast is sponsored by VPA, Vantage Point Archery, and Compton Traditional Bow Hunters organization. They've been around for a long, long time, and we're back. Brian, are you still there?
You bet.
Oh, I about jacked that one up. Sorry about that.
We got talking about too much stuff, and you forgot to put your plug in. That's okay, though.
But okay. I appreciate it. It's in there now, and I'll plug you in the next episodes and go from there. And do you guys have like a QR code?
Probably. Yeah, we do. I can get you one.
Yeah, get me one. I talked to you by email. Yeah, just email it to me, and I'll put it in on because I'm on TikTok too. I'll make a flyer up and run it on my TikTok.
Oh, cool. So, yeah, you're a TikToker.
Hey, I like it. I'm not. It's not YouTube, but I do reach a lot more people. And
that's awesome.
And I met some already. So crap. Dang it, dude.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just dropped my phone.
Oh.
Yeah. So
well, if you need to get your daughter to school, we can get going.
Yeah, we can get going. I didn't know it was 7:40 already. But I'll end this podcast and thank you, and I would love to have you on a guest again on my show.
You got it, for sure.
Alrighty. All right.
I appreciate it, James.
I appreciate you too, Brian. All right. Have a nice day.
You too.
Bye.